Tomorrow night, we have an early kickoff as the game starts at 5:45, and this time we travel to Athens to take on Panathinaikos in this year's Conference League. Now, we've started the competition off in decent form, picking up a 4-2 win over Ghent. So I'm expecting us to pick up another win, making that 2 for 2, irrespective of the fact that Panathinaikos are a pretty decent team and they do have some decent players to turn to. Now, there's a bit of fortune on our side because their leading striker in Fotis Ioannidonis, and I know I'm saying his name wrong, he is out with an abductor injury. Now, he has struggled in front of goal this season, but this was a player that came close to signing for Premier League clubs this summer. He has a decent reputation and he's probably dealing with the heartache of not getting a move this summer. But regardless, this Panathinaikos team, they're full of experience. They're full of European experience. I'm looking at players like Serbian international Jurisic, who was playing in Serie A. Of course, they have Brazilian winger Tete on the flanks. They also have United loanee in Fernando Pelisteri, and they have other talents such as Uani, who was taking the world by storm in Qatar during the World Cup. So it feels like there's a lot of talent in that Panathinaikos team, and it's full of players who have signed for them to find their form again. So they would relish the opportunity to play against us. It's probably the reason why most of them signed for Panathinaikos, because they're playing in European competition. And I do feel like if we get a result tomorrow, we're going to have to play well. We aren't going to be able to just seamlessly win this game, based on pure aura alone. We're going to have to play well because I imagine the fans in Athens are going to be going crazy. They'll put us under pressure. And if you're a team in the Conference League, you'll see the fact that you can score goals against us. We've not kept any clean sheets so far. We could have conceded more goals against Servette, and the fact that Ghent scored twice against us, it does paint the picture that defensively we're still a bit sus. It makes a lot of sense. A lot of these guys aren't playing week in, week out together. This is essentially our B team, and if anything, the small positive is that our B team now are getting used to Maresca's methods and understandings. So that's a big advantage, but still, if we don't focus, if we don't come correct, we could easily pick up an embarrassing result in the Conference League. So it's up to these players, these B team players, these squad players, and these players that are still looking to win over Enzo Maresca to take this opportunity and really perform in the Conference League, because there really is no excuse. So are we set to go to Athens and set them alight, or will Panathinaikos burn us in tomorrow's encounter? I hope you guys enjoy. Share your thoughts and opinions. Hit that like button as well too. But before we continue on, the boys over at Football Prizes have yet again another competition to win this week, as you can win a signed and framed Enzo Fernandez and Nicholas Jackson framed shirt. Not only that, my friends, but there's also instant win prizes on show, and 20% of all net proceeds will go to Down Syndrome charity in South London. Massive congratulations goes out to last week's winner in Mitchell Brown, who has won the hospitality tickets for our game against Newcastle. So who knows, my friends, maybe one day you might get lucky too. So that's that out of the way. Let's now move on to discussing team news. And in terms of team news, we know that Jorgensen is now available to play. Maresca has confirmed this. We're also learning that youth additions are coming with the squad as well, and they will include Tyreek George. They're set to include Sam Ragzaki and super talent who's recently just turned 17, and Mheuka has joined up with the squad as well. Now, we did great business to sign him from Brighton's academy, and since signing for us, of course, his career is only looking more positive and more positive. Is there a possibility that we may see the introduction of academy grads getting minutes in tomorrow's game? Most realistically, probably not, but if they were to get minutes, this could send out a pretty valuable lesson to Josh Achimpong to let him know, listen, don't lose hope in the fact that there's no long-term future for you here, because there are. We are going to champion our best products. We are going to use them. That could be the right message to send out, but then realistically, do I see us allowing Achimpong to play in tomorrow's game? Most likely not. So I don't know how to feel about what I've just said. And from what I'm hearing behind the scenes too, it's not looking great for Achimpong's long-term prospects at our club, as he is being enticed by many many big clubs to sign for them in January. So that's the team news out the way. Let's now move on to discussing the key talking points from the press conference, as Maresca revealed that he once played for Olympiakos, the rivals of Panathinaikos, so he has some experience being in Greece. He understands the club. He revealed the fact that he's already watched multiple games that Panathinaikos have played. He is familiar with their manager as well too, and I guess that's typical Maresca. You know, he's always clued up, he's always switched on, he takes it serious, and it's these types of details that captured the attention of our board when it came to replacing him over Mauricio Pochettino. But it was a bit of like a sad note to it, because he also remembered his former teammate in Antonio Puerta. Used to be a great fullback for Sevilla. I remember him as a kid, and you know, obviously not all great memories for Maresca, but I'm sure that he's going to go there and he's going to want to do one for his former teammate by beating Panathinaikos tomorrow. But to continue on, Maresca discussed Mudryk and Joao Felix. As we know, Mudryk was not part of the matchday squad against Liverpool, and you think to yourself, once upon a time, this guy was making his debut at Anfield, taking the world by storm. We envisioned a completely different reality for Mudryk, where right now, fast forward to the present, he's not even part of the matchday squad. Maresca still believes in Mudryk, still feels that he needs time, and if I'm Mudryk, I'm not going to mope. My head's not going to be down. I feel like you must take complete advantage of these Conference League games. These are the games that can build your confidence, get consistent minutes, and it's a tournament where you can announce yourself as one of the most dangerous players here. And I think for where Mudryk is currently in his development, they're the goals he should be setting for himself, because listen, there's nothing to say that in a few months' time that Mudryk could find himself back in first team contention. And obviously similar context surrounding Joao Felix, who didn't play against Liverpool, and since signing for us, you know, he hasn't necessarily taken the world by storm. He's shown a little bit of promise, few nice touches, few nice skills. As Felix, you know what to expect, but you feel like when he first arrived here 2 years ago, I mean, he arrived in style and he instantly showcased what he was about, right? We're still waiting for that from him. Maresca said that Felix is still doing the right things in training, but the reality simply is that the players that are ahead of him in the first team currently deserve to be there. So unless one of them loses their place, loses their form, currently Felix will be on the sidelines. So yet again, he's another player that must take great advantage of this Conference League, because we have to see more from him. The fact that Felix didn't come on against Liverpool when we needed to turn the game around, you know, on paper, that's the guy you're turning to immediately to change the entire complexion of the game. The fact that he wasn't turned to tells me that Felix has to do more. And to end things, let's hear what Maresca says about our youth players. Now, he gave his thoughts on the Chimpong, and as he says, listen, realistically, he'll be the club's mouthpiece. So if he says that the reports aren't necessarily true, that he's been given orders, of course, to omit him from first team duties, I mean, we have to have some grace. It's not like he can tell the truth, right? We can be a bit smart when it comes to understanding the real story that's going on, right? But regardless, he revealed that 3 weeks ago he had very positive words with the Chimpong, and he believes that he can be a top player. It does seem like he wants the player to remain here. He wants him at this football club, but it does feel like that may be out of Maresca's hands, because ultimately, if the directors are saying you can't play until you sign a contract, I don't have much faith or hope, and I've rarely ever seen players who have decided to remain after being treated in a similar manner. So let's see what happens there. But for more positive notes on Sam Rexaki and Mheuka, Maresca likes that Sam Rexaki is a midfield player that can play in all midfield roles. Hopefully he gets some minutes as a sub, but I'd be very surprised. And obviously when it comes to Mheuka, he revealed that, listen, you know, he's a guy that can play as a striker, as a winger, good profile, very young, and it's good experience for him to stay with us. I'd probably say Mheuka is one of the top stars at the club currently, and I do hope that at least this season he can maybe get a few minutes here and there, and hopefully he can get them in the Conference League. So that's the press conference out of the way, my friends. And now we move on to the predicted lineup. As you guys have seen on screen, I've gone for Christo and Nkunku up front, alongside a Mudryk, Felix, Neto. In midfields, Cassidy, Kid and Dewsbury Hall, and in defense, Vega, Badiashile, Tosin, Disasi, and Jorgensen. Now, ideally, I would like to see a Chimpong playing on the right. I think when Fofana's not there, and if you're not going to risk Reece James by playing him, 2 times in 1 week, Ajimpong is the perfect profile that can play that wide centre-back role. And I do feel like personally, Disasi and Tosin, yes, the level of competition is a bit lower, but equally, I don't think these guys are amazing when it comes to tackling out wides, if I'm being honest with you. Let's see what happens there. But on paper, there's enough quality in defense to take advantage. I'm looking at Ronaldo Vega. I think his promise now is, slowly coming up more and more, but I still want him to really just like assert himself even more in games, right? I think that he's a player that's definitely on the rise, and I do feel like he's held himself to a good standard currently. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he continues his development playing this inverted role. I guess midfield will be Kasade, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. I think Kasade is definitely one favour with Maresca, and the fact that he's adapted to play more of a deeper role, because Kasade is typically more of like a box-to-box mid. They're the qualities he brings, but he's done decent playing in an unfamiliar role against decent opposition in the Conference League. And Dewsbury-Hall, there's not much to say about him really. To end with things though, the attack essentially speaks for itself. I'm not expecting Mark Gue to get minutes. I'd imagine Gue gets a loan move in January, but Chriso Nkunku, I'm expecting this guy to score goals tomorrow. I think he's very unfortunate that Maresca's still not found the perfect use for him in the first team. I kind of feel like in certain games we've seen, certain draws, certain defeats, if we had that type of clinical figure in the books, I think Nkunku makes a difference in either one of these games. But as long as he can maintain his confidence by scoring goals in the Conference League, he will continue to put pressure on Maresca to find him in our first team. And obviously outside of that, I need to see big things from Mudryk, Felix, and Neto as well too. I do feel like, Mudryk has looked quite decent in the Conference League. I thought he looked very strong against Ghent. More of that Mudryk, continue that. Felix, listen, he's not performing badly. He just hasn't had one magnificent standout game. It needs to come. I'd imagine that he needs some time to get used to Maresca's setup. Of course, he came right near the end of the transfer window. He had no preseason. I can kind of understand that a little bit, and he's not been awful. I just need to see more. And in the case of Neto, he's scoring goals in the Conference League. He's playing more on the right flank. And listen, if he wants to win the first team spot against Mheuka, perform tomorrow and affect the game with a goal or an assist. So my friends, that's a predictor lineup out of the way. And to end things with my prediction, I am going for a 3-1 win. I do feel like we're going to concede a goal. I think that's natural. I think we aren't perfect defensively yet, and that will probably take a lot of time until maybe 2025 to see real improvements in those areas. If anything, I need to see improvements in terms of how we defend set pieces. We have a lot of big players playing against Panathinaikos. Let's use that aerial advantage to our favour. And outside of that, I want to see performances from your Mudryks, your Felixes, and some of these squad guys now to really step up, because we need them. Because games like Liverpool, Neto had a great impact, but I want to see more players having an impact when we need them. So 3-1 win, that's how I see things going. You lot share your thoughts and opinions. And my friends, on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionstTV. See you all soon.